So you just recently joined the military because you heard it's a great way to pay for school. And that's true. But if you're not using this one secret trick, then you could be losing out on thousands of dollars each and every year. Hi everyone, my name is Ben, and this channel is dedicated to all things personal finance, helping you earn more, spend less, and invest the difference. So let's get started. So myself, I was a military recruiter. And so I would always ask all of the new applicants that would come through my door, I would ask them, why are you wanting to join the military? And by far and away, the number one answer, probably 75% of all of the young kids would say that they are looking for a way to pay for college. And that's true. The military has some great ways to pay for school. We're going to give you not only the GI Bill, which is your education package when you are eventually finished with the military, but we're also going to give you tuition assistance to help you pay for school while you're currently serving and working for us. So what typically happens is people will join the military and they'll get these free education packages and they'll have the military pay for their school, and then that's pretty much it. That's where the process stops for a lot of these young men and women. But the process should not stop there. You see, I'm going to give you one simple trick. It takes less than 15 minutes to do, and it could save you up to $6,300 each and every year that you're going to school. And the best part is, it's not even a secret. You see, each and every one of you already knows about this program, but chances are none of you are taking advantage of it. So typically, any 17-year-old kid that plans on attending college the next year, the last year, their senior year in high school, they typically get bombarded by their guidance counselors, their teachers, and their parents to fill out financial aid packages or to fill out scholarship packages, because school is expensive. But just because the military is already giving you free school doesn't mean those scholarships and those financial aid options go away. Those are still available to you on top of your free education with the military. Game changer. Now there's going to be a million different scholarship options available to you, so I'm not going to cover all of those options. I will, however, leave a few common military-themed scholarships down in the description box, but you're going to have to do your own research on this particular topic. However, what I do want to talk about is the financial aid side of things, Pell Grants. So basically, a Pell Grant is free money given from the government to students that are in need to help pay for school. Now, this is going to be a needs-based system, so it is going to prioritize low-income earners, people that don't have significant assets already. Because if you're wealthy or your family is wealthy, then they can already afford to send you to school, and so you don't need this additional financial aid. So a Pell Grant is going to determine this financial need by having you fill out what is known as the FAFSA. This is going to ask you some financial information about both yourself, maybe your parents, and based on that information, they are going to calculate how desperately you need assistance in order to pay for school. Now, there's two major categories that people fall into when you're filling out the FAFSA. So when you're 17, 18 years old in high school and you're filling it out because you want to go to Duke or Stanford or wherever you want to go next year, you're going to be filling this out and you are going to be classified as a dependent when it comes to your financial aid status. You are still dependent on your family for assistance, your mom and your dad. And this is very important because since you are dependent on mom and dad for aid, you need to put their financial information into your FAFSA when you're filling it out, as well as your own financial information. Because if mom and dad are relatively wealthy, then they can afford to send you to school. But as soon as you sign on the dotted line and raise your right hand and take the oath of enlistment and join the military, no matter what else is going on in your history, you are no longer considered a dependent. You are now independent, which means your mom and dad's income and their assets no longer count against you. Now the only thing the government is going to be looking at when it comes to financial aid are your assets and your income. And the great thing about the military is our income is crap. And that sounds weird, but it's actually fantastic because what counts as income is only one part of our overall military compensation. You see, in the military, our paychecks that we get every month are typically made up of three big components. Our base pay, which is calculated based on our rank and how many years of service we've been in. And then we're also going to get free food and free housing, whether that's through the dormitories in the child hall or whether we're getting additional stipends such as basic allowance for substance or basic allowance for housing. So even though we're getting these three separate items in our military paycheck, the government is only going to be looking at one of those when it comes to how much money we earn as income, and that's going to be our base pay. This means that roughly half of our total compensation, our total income, isn't even going to be counted against us when we fill out financial aid. And because of this fact, even though we live very solid middle-class lives in the military, our income levels look as if we are living in poverty, which is great when it comes time to filling out these things like financial aid packages. So if you just joined the military, typically your first year or so, you're going to be in training, whether that's basic training or technical school where we teach you how to do your job. So you're not going to be going to school during that first year. So after your first year, you should be the rank of give or take about E3. Maybe you're a little bit higher, maybe you're a little bit lower, but E3 is a pretty solid number for us. So base pay for E3 is roughly $2,000 a month, which translates into about $24,000 per year. Now that's great because typically if you earn less than $25,000 per year, you can normally qualify for an automatic EFC score of 0. Now your EFC score is basically your financial score. It's based on a 0 to 1,000 scale, where 0 is you are in the most desperate and dire need of assistance, and 1,000 is you're actually pretty well off and don't really need a lot of assistance. So since you make less than this $25,000 per year, you typically automatically qualify for the highest level of assistance possible. Now in the 2020-2021 calendar year, this translates into roughly $6,300 per year if you are going to school full time. Now typically what happens is if you get qualified and you get this financial aid, if you get a Pell Grant, what they're going to do is the government is going to give this money to your college. But then since the military is also giving your school money, they're overpaying because they're getting money twice, right? So what's going to happen is the school is going to typically refund you that Pell Grant money. Now some schools are going to do this at different periods. Some schools do it all at once. Some schools kind of spread it out throughout the semester. A lot of times they're not going to start giving you any money back until after you have passed the deadline to drop and withdraw from classes. But one way or another, your school is going to refund that money to you. Now needless to say, when you're making $24,000 a year, an extra $6,300 a year is pretty game-changing, and I'm going to tell you what you should do with that in just a moment. But there's one other aspect to the financial aid system that you need to qualify for besides your income levels, and that is your assets. You see, they want to know that you don't have, just hundreds of thousands of dollars just tucked away in an account somewhere that you could be using to pay for school. And because of this, you typically want to get your total assets as low as possible when it comes to actually filling out your FAFSA, your application for financial aid. And this can be done a couple of different ways. So if you have a couple of $1,000s just sitting around in an account, get rid of it. Maybe you have credit card debt that could be paid down with this little nest egg that you've been kind of saving, so you can pay down on that. Or if you have car payments, you can make a significantly larger payment towards your car or your house if you've already bought a house. You see, when it comes to assets, they typically don't count the equity in your car or your house. So by using any extra nest egg that you've got sitting around and put that money towards one of these two things and start paying down that debt a little bit, it's going to eliminate those assets, which makes you look broker than you really are, which when it comes to qualifying for financial aid, being broke is a good thing. Now, filling out the FAFSA is super easy. It's going to take you less than 15 minutes. The only thing that you're really going to need is you're going to need your driver's license number, and you're going to need your previous income tax returns. So for the current year, 2020, 2021, for the academic year, you're going to need your 2018 tax returns. So if you don't already have a copy of these, you can maybe ask your mom and dad if they've got a copy of it, if they filed it for you when you were working as a waiter in high school or something like that. But if you don't have a copy of it, you can go online to turbotax.com or TaxSlayer, whatever tax preparation software that you used, and you can just print out your old returns from there. And if you didn't use tax prep software, maybe you just mailed in a hard copy version, well, the same thing. You can mail in a form to the IRS requesting previous year's returns. It does typically cost a few dollars, and like most things in the government, they will get it to you, but it's going to be a little bit slow. It usually takes about 6 weeks for them to mail out your previous tax returns. So let's say once you finally do all of this stuff and you get accepted, you go to school and you get that fat refund check coming in, what should you do with that extra money? Well, the answer is pretty much anything except blow it, because a lot of times when we start earning more money, your income just went from $24,000 a year to effectively $30,000 a year because you got this extra $6,000 back from the government. What happens is lifestyle creep. You earn more money, so you spend more money. And that's not what we want to do. We want to be responsible, and we want to invest this money for the long run. So the first thing that I would suggest doing is to max out your TSP contributions for that match. You see, a couple years ago they changed the retirement system, and now they are giving a matching 401k style contribution to your TSP account. And this maxes out at about 5%. So 5% of your total income of $24,000 is going to be roughly $1,200 per year. Now, if you want to keep things simple, put the whole $6,000 towards this instead of only $1,200. But what I would consider a slightly better option is to just tuck away the minimum amount for matching contributions, this $1,200 into your TSP, and then put the other $4,000 or $5,000 that you're going to be getting into a Roth IRA. So they're both going to be retirement accounts, but I think a Roth IRA is going to be a little bit easier in a worst case scenario if you need to pull money out and that kind of thing. I think it's just a lot more flexible than trying to get money out of your TSP if for whatever reason you need to access this money before you turn the classical retirement age. So by doing this, not only are you maxing out your matching contributions to your TSP, but you're coming pretty close to maxing out your Roth IRA contributions every year. And all it took was an extra 15 minutes each year to fill out a financial aid package. And I guess more people don't do this because they think that they're already working full-time, they've got a pretty decent income coming in, and so they don't need financial aid. And that might be true, you may not need it, but I'm under the impression that if you qualify for it, you should take advantage of it. And since these financial aid programs typically are only looking at one aspect of our military paycheck, they're not counting in our basic allowance for substance or housing. And so our income levels look really small. So it is very, very easy for military members to qualify for a wide variety of financial aid. And in this case, the FAFSA could earn you, like I said, $6,300 a year. But there are other programs out there that can easily be qualified for once the situation arises. Maybe once you start having a family and having a kid, you can easily qualify for WIC. So that's going to pretty well do it for us today, folks. How 15 minutes can save you $6,300 per year for your military education package. If you found this video useful, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all again next week. Thanks.